good luck. I now request my colleague, Ms. Rosaline, to introduce the chief guest.
Dr. Rajdeep Manwani is an academician, trainer, motivational speaker, life coach, counselor, social change agent, and quiz master par excellence, both by training and by choice. He is working as a professor and coordinator in the Department of Commerce at Jain University and is a triple postgraduate as well as a PhD. Having completed his MCom, MBA, MPhil, and also a doctorate in commerce on the topic of strategic evaluation of training in commercial banks. He secured gold medals for topping both MCom and MPhil examinations in Mysore University. He is the recipient of National Award as a role model for empowerment of persons with disability from the then Honorable President of India in December 2013. He is also the recipient of Special Award given by the Chief Minister of Karnataka in 2011 and the State Award for Excellence given by the Government of Karnataka in 2015. An eloquent speaker, he has won several debates and was adjudged the best speaker in International Tape Speech competition held by Toastmasters International in 2008. He holds a record of being adjudged the best impromptu speaker for 5 years in India and Sri Lanka for the years 2008, 2009, 2010, 2012, and 2015. He has also received the Rotary Award for Vocational Services in Education, the Extraordinary Pathfinder Award by Rotary International, the Positive Health Hero Award given by Dr. Batra's Clinic, and Bajaj Auto and GCS Foundation of Transformational Leadership Innovative Teaching Award in May 2018, and the Guru Kshetra Award in 2019. Dear audience, I feel that our chief guest deserves a standing ovation. Dr. Manwani, the auditorium is in standing ovation in honor of you. We are really privileged to have you. Thank you, all of you. Kindly be seated. He has been a featured TEDx speaker and has hosted several training and programs, given motivational speeches, and held management talk shows on radio. He is a regular speaker to the senior management and leadership of several companies like Bosch, Wipro, HP, and Intel. The list is endless. He is keenly involved as a facilitator of several disability organizations at Bangalore and has helped in training, mentoring, and placing several students with disability in organizations and careers of their choice. He has paved the way for accessibility in several corporate campuses and has also worked extensively with social organizations like Snehadeep, CAPS Foundation, Enable India, and Mitra Jyoti by creating a barrier-free physical, emotional, social, environment for persons with disability to thrive and express their potential. He believes in engaging, energizing, and empowering individuals who are facing any form of discrimination and helps them to face the world with confidence and courage. He has also done workshops on humor, public speaking, inspiration, and inclusion in several colleges and companies. He is passionate about research and quality in education and is a part of the internal quality assurance cell and also a key member of the research cell at Jain University and has completed 2 minor research projects on entrepreneurship and student behavior. He has published several research articles and made several paper presentations on education and management in national and international seminars. He has trained, motivated, and mentored over 21,500 students and executives over a span of 20 years and received excellent ratings from corporate and educational clients. He firmly believes in the motto of his life, touching lives, making a difference. Dr. Manwani, it's a pure pleasure and honor to have you amongst us today. I invite you to enlighten the graduating batch with your pearls of wisdom. The podium is here. The mic is here.
Thank you, Madam, for that wonderful introduction. Am I audible at the back? Thank you so much for that wonderful introduction. You all are very, very bright students who are graduating out, and it reminds me of an incident which, and it reminds me of an incident which happened when a teacher went to class, and there was a student sitting in the front row, and the teacher told the student, if God appeared in front of you, what would you ask God for? The boy smiled and said, Madam, I'll definitely ask for a new iPhone 13, which is released. I'm going to ask for the best laptop which is released in the market. And I'm also going to ask for a 350cc bike. The teacher was a little angry and she said, what's wrong with you? If God appeared in front of you, you should be asking for wisdom. You should be asking for courage. You should be asking for talent. The boy smiled at the teacher and said, Madam, you ask what you don't have, I'll ask what I don't have. So, I feel like that teacher in front of you all are very, very bright students, and I'm seeing you all are so excited about this. It's a great privilege coming here. There have been several studies to find out what makes a person great, what makes him successful in life. But there was one study conducted several years back by the Arthur C. Blank Institute of Entrepreneurship to find out what prevents a person from becoming great in life. And they surveyed several hundred entrepreneurs, right from Michael Dell to Bill Gates to Steve Jobs. And they wanted to find out what is that one characteristic which pulls a person down. So let's talk about that a little bit today so that you all can overcome that emotion, you can overcome that barrier and be successful in the world tomorrow. I'm not going to tell you what is that emotion or what is that one characteristic which brings a person down. I'm going to narrate an incident which happened when I was in my college days, and I'm going to give you certain statistics. With these two things, you can find out what is that barrier. When I was in my college days, I was a part of this NSS, and we had gone for a camp, a weekend camp to Devanhalli. This was several years back. Devanhalli was not an airport, it was a cluster of villages, and we had gone there to teach them sanitation. So what happened was, we went there on a Friday. We were around 30 to 40 boys. We did the first day, we set up tents. We were living each in tents. And the next day we went and made some toilets in the villages. We had some man-made toilets, etc. And that evening we came back, we burnt the bonfire, and we also had some fun. And then we went to sleep. We were very tired. At around 2 in the night, we heard a lot of noise outside our tent. So we were feeling very sleepy, so we didn't get up. But there was one boy who came to our tent, he opened it and he said, all of you come out, all of you come out. So as soon as we went out, he said, do you know that Hindi teacher who had come with us? We told, yes. That Hindi teacher, he was walking in the night, he had just got up in the night, and there is a snake which has bitten him. And we were really worried. We went, and true to what they were saying, we saw our Hindi teacher lying down there. I couldn't see, but they were describing it to me, and he was turning blue because of the poison bite. He was breathing very, very quickly. And we thought our Hindi teacher is not going to survive because the nearest hospital was nearly 40 kilometers away. We sent a boy in his bike to get the nearest doctor, but we thought it will take at least 3 hours, going 1 hour, coming back. And by the time that doctor comes back, our Hindi teacher will not survive. There was one student who was very, very close to our Hindi teacher, and he immediately said, "Where did sir get bitten by the snake?" So somebody said, "See that tree over there, he got bitten there." So that boy went over there, and true to what everybody was saying, he saw the snake. And you know, I told you we had constructed tents, so there were a lot of these iron rods which were lying down here and there. Without even thinking, the boy picked up an iron rod and he started hitting the snake. He started hammering the snake. He hammered the snake for nearly 5 minutes, and even after that, he wasn't convinced. He took his shoe and he started trampling upon the snake. He trampled upon the snake for the next 2-3 minutes, and when he was completely convinced that the snake was dead, he threw the rod and he picked up the snake. As soon as he picked up the snake, he screamed, "Oh my God, this is not a snake, this is only a rope." But that's not the point. The Hindi teacher who was lying down there, even he jumped up. He said, "Oh, I thought I was bitten by a snake. Is that only a rope?" And that Hindi teacher, who till 5 minutes back was turning blue, suddenly became white, pink, red. And the boy said, "Sir, you know, there was a small nail at the end of that rope that scratched you, and that made you think that you had been bitten by the snake." Anyway, the doctor came. The doctor was very upset with us. He said, "This does not even require first aid." We had to pay him 100 rupees and send him off. But the important point was, when my Hindi teacher thought he was bitten by a snake, he was acting in a different manner. As soon as he came to know that he wasn't bitten by a snake, what happened? He started acting very normally. Okay, this is the story. You have to identify the barrier, which I'm going to talk to you about. Now I'm going to give you some statistics from the NIMHANS website. There were some statistics which were very interesting from the NIMHANS. NIMHANS stands for the National Institute of Mental Health and Neurosciences, and they had a website where they had an article which was published several years back which said that, did you know that 33% of all those people who die in a tsunami or a flood do not die because they cannot swim. They die because they think they have lost their near and dear ones, and therefore they refuse to swim. So a person who's dying in a flood in Uttarakhand or Kerala is not dying because he thinks he can't swim. He thinks, "Oh my God, my mother has passed away or my wife has passed away," and they don't want to swim at all. Did you know that 67%, 2 out of 3 people who commit suicide, do not do that because they have a real life calamity? They think they are going to face a future problem in life. An actor might have 8 crores in his bank account, but he thinks that in the next 1 year he's not going to get a movie and he'll commit suicide. A farmer has to pay his debt after 6 months, but he thinks, "Oh my God, I won't be able to pay it," and he commits suicide. I gave you a story of my teacher who thought he had been bitten by a snake. I gave you 2 statistics. One about those people who die in a tsunami, and the second about people who commit suicide. Based on that story and based on these 2 statistics, can you tell me what is that one emotion which prevents a person from becoming great, which prevents a person from achieving his full potential in life? Shout it out. Fear. Fantastic. As I told, all of you all are very, very intelligent. And if you look at the dictionary for the meaning of the word fear, it stands for a feeling of agitation or anxiety